concept for the series is simple. What would happen if you took a vanilla Minecraft player and gave them all the mods to play with? Would they thrive in this beautiful and complex world? Or would it be simply too much for them to handle? Welcome to All the Mods 9. Hey everyone, my name is KryptoCal, and welcome to the next episode of All the Mods 9. In the last episode, we went and pretty much finished all of Blood Magic, and in between episodes, I have gone ahead and upgraded the rest of the runes here to include some more speed upgrades, sacrifice upgrades, and a couple more of the capacities. And we've basically just been letting this run. If I pull up the sigil here, we can see that currently it is pretty much idle. The Well of Suffering isn't actually doing anything, even though it is running underneath here. And that's because we have actually filled up all of the slates. Actually, if I come back down here, all of our slates are filled up to the desired quantities that I set. So we actually have 2 stacks of the ethereal slates, which is going to be plenty. These are what we actually need to craft up the reinforced speed runes. And we also have a bunch more of the large bloodstone bricks, which I've crafted up. So we can actually start off this episode by getting those speed runes done. We type in here the reinforced speed runes. These are actually craftable for us. The Hellforged parts, we actually have 81 of these now, so that's going to be plenty. Now we do need to get some of the basic tier speed runes, so probably going to have to make a few more of those. And we actually need to get, I believe it is 4 of these per wither compass. We need 72 of these reinforced speed runes, and I just crafted 37. I just need to make a couple more of the basic speed runes, and it looks like we have 73. Now, what else are we missing for that wither compass? Honestly, just the wither builder. We have the abyssal sacrifice, or we can at least craft up the abyssal sacrifice. So up until now, we've been working with our netherite crafters here to help us with our 3x3 crafting, and it's been very helpful. There's some things that the netherite crafters just can't do, at least not in this configuration. For example, the processors that we use from refined storage, they have to be smelted up to be able to be useful, because they have to be the smelted versions. And up until now, we've had to basically request the normal processors and then go and manually smelt them ourselves. But today that changes. If you will follow me to our underground, definitely not a layer cable room. Basically, we have our unobtainium furnace right above here. And what I've done is I've snuck a little netherite crafter underneath here, and it's pointing face up into the furnace. It has to be this face right here that you're looking at underneath. That has to be facing into whatever block you want the items to go into to autocraft. So just like this configuration, this is going to send any item that we request in to the furnace to be smelted, and then over here the barrel is going to suck it back out into our storage system. But you have to set up the craft a little bit differently. There's also a little tab here that you can check called processing. So this is where you can actually create your own custom recipes.
Oh.
So,
what does that do?
Well, for example, say we want to autocraft glass. So what would you have to do normally? You'd have to take sand and you'd have to smelt it, right?
Yep.
So in this case, we would basically just imagine that where we're going to put the recipe is going to be the furnace. So we can basically say that 1 sand is going to equal 1 glass.
Okay.
So in this case, we have 1 sand equals 1 glass, which means that if we encode this pattern now, this is basically a custom pattern. That basically says that 1 sand is going to turn into 1 glass. But in order for this to actually work, this has to go inside of a crafter pointing into a furnace, right? Because then when whatever resulting item comes back, it's going to satisfy the craft. I actually already put in a couple patterns into this furnace crafter here, just as demonstrations. So we're going to be using that a lot in the future, especially with Mekanism. Mekanism relies on a lot of that stuff. So in the interest of actually having a little more space here, I decided that we're going to move some of these netherite crafters into the basement here where we have our cabling. I think it's going to make the whole thing a little more accessible and easier to expand down here if we ever need to. What I've added in replacement up here actually is something called the Crafter Manager. And this actually will allow us to see every single auto crafter on our network from one area. And we can actually add and take away patterns remotely from here. And the reason that I added a couple more of the netherite crafters down there is because we're going to need some more space to add more patterns, because we're going to be getting into Mekanism today. And crafting in Mekanism is an absolute nightmare without having auto crafts, so I'm preemptively getting ourselves ready for that. There's going to be a lot of pattern crafting for Mekanism things, but we're going to kind of take this one step at a time. I'm not going to go overkill and auto craft everything right away. I kind of want to get into it a little more naturally. So I guess there's no better place to start than right from the beginning. Are you ready to focus in, Grace?
I'm fishing. Mekanism time, baby.
All right, so to get started in Mekanism, we have already got ourselves a couple quests completed kind of along the way here. But to start off, Mekanism has its own set of materials and resources that we are going to need in decent quantities. One of those being osmium. Thankfully, we have osmium. We've had osmium coming in for a while now via our bees and also mysticals. So we have no shortage of osmium to play with. So normally in Mekanism, you have to generate power because all the machines in Mekanism do require power, and the heat generator is what they kind of get you to get into first. That's the first quest here. It's like, hey, make a heat generator. You can either feed it lava, or the better way is to actually surround it by lava sources, and it basically will generate power based on the amount of lava around it. So it's a very early game generator, not super efficient. We're not going to use it because we have power, and that energy is also compatible with Mekanism. You can see it. Oh, here it is. It's pretty. Okay, so the next step is going to be the most crucial part of pretty much all of Mekanism, and that is going to be the metallurgic infuser. It is our starting machine for Mekanism, and it is basically going to be the backbone of all Mekanism stuff going forward.
Well, okay, guess we're going to craft it up then.
We're going to need quite a few of these overall. Wow, I just unlocked a bunch of quests there. I'm going to grab all these quest rewards here quick. The entire point of the metallurgic infuser is by using a certain material to infuse into another. And there's basically 4 different main infusion types. There is carbon infusion, which involves using coal to infuse materials. There's redstone infusion, which is going to be part of crafting all those alloys up. There is the diamond infusion, which is the reinforced tier. And then finally, there is the obsidian, which uses the refined obsidian. And I think we actually have some refined obsidian from the bees.
We do.
I think, coming in. So that's going to be something that we can probably make use of. But yeah, those are the 4 main materials that we're going to be infusing stuff with. We're going to want to automate this setup at some point, but maybe we can go ahead and bring it over to my castle, and maybe we can start playing around with it over there. Even though the castle really doesn't have a ceiling or a floor.
Wop wop.
We're getting there. We're getting there. There's also going to be a couple other machines coming up soon that we're going to need, and I figure it might actually be a good idea to have these also on AutoCraft. Just some of the basic stuff like the steel casings. So I kind of laid out in this corner, I laid out on the coal blocks where we're going to kind of have the infusion setup. We can keep this pretty compact.
How do I give it power?
The one way that we're probably going to use is just going to be a flux point with some cabling, hooking them all in together.
Ta-da!
But you didn't select the network.
I did it. Yeah, so we need, first starting out, iron and redstone. So let's start there. Redstone and some iron. Fill it up a little bit and we'll get it processing a little bit.
The other material that can be used with redstone infusion, and that is using an osmium ingot, and that makes the control circuits, I believe. So I think we have gotten an osmium compressor at some point from a quest or something.
I just made this.
Oh, you made an osmium compressor. Oh, I see. Okay.
I just made it right now.
Yeah, we probably won't put this one. Oops. We probably won't put this one here with the other infusions because they're a little bit different. The compressor we'll probably put over here. We're going to have another set of machines on this wall.
Okay.
We're going to keep all the infusers kind of together, but that's one machine we will make use of, yeah.
It can be used to make the refined glowstone.
The stuff that you've been smelting down from mob drops.
Yeah, this is a lot easier, but we're going to need some more of these. So I'm going to make a couple more of these infusers. After you have this alloy, you put this alloy back in with diamond.
There's a machine coming up right after the metallurgic infuser called the enrichment chamber.
Okay.
That is going to be one that we're going to want to use a lot. And what basically you can do with the enrichment chamber is, you know how you put redstone inside of here to infuse into the iron?
Okay, yeah.
It takes 10 millibuckets of redstone to infuse 1 iron into an infused alloy.
Yes, okay.
So if you take a look, the enriched versions of all of those materials, like the enriched redstone, the enriched diamond, actually give 80 millibuckets of redstone to those machines to use instead of just 10. So they're basically 8 times more efficient to be used inside of the infusers.
So we're going to want to use that instead of the diamond dust, right?
Yes, and also the redstone. We'll put this down here for now.
Trying to be fancy. It's not working. That's okay. It's not working. We're going to pull from... Oh, I'm going to get it to pull from this guy and put into there so that the diamond can get processed in here. We'll automate it later then. It will just be silly for now. So now that we have the refined glowstone, I'm going to drop everything and run and go put it in the apiary, and I'll be back in a second. Good talk. Good talk.
So while we're looking at this, as you can see, these machines aren't the fastest at base value. They're pretty slow.
Yeah.
We can speed them up though by using, there is speed upgrades and also energy upgrades. Each machine, I believe, can accept 8 energy upgrades and 8 speed upgrades to make them more power efficient and also faster. For the speed upgrades, they require the infused alloys, which are the iron ones that go into redstone with some osmium dust. And then also to get the energy upgrades, I believe it's the same thing, but with the gold dust in the middle instead. So those are going to be important for us to craft. We're probably going to want most of our machines fully sped up, because that's just going to be the most efficient way to go about doing that. All right, so I have 8 speed and 8 energy upgrades, and I'll show you the example of how much faster this will be by putting these in the enrichment chamber. There we go.
Oh, that's a lot faster.
So that's
nice.
Cooking a lot faster, and this is just the base tier of machine. We'll get into the machine upgrades very soon. But anyway, for now,
Very good.
that is just a lot faster.
I'm a little confused. It's pretty normal for me, so it's not really a standout moment. But how did you apply the speed upgrades again?
You can shift right click them onto the machine, or in the top right corner, when you go into the machine's interface, there's an upgrade tab.
Upgrades. Ah, okay.
And you just
I see,
drop them into the upgrade slot. But you can just shift right click them and the machine will accept whatever it can.
And now we're cooking. Look at that atomic alloy.
But I think what we'll do is we'll probably end up moving the osmium compressor and enrichment chamber over to this side of the room. But we're basically all the way done. We almost have made every single tier of the circuits and alloys for Mekanism.
Yep.
The last one is just the ultimate control
I'm just
circuit.
finishing it up too. So I'll be there in a minute. I have at least one of every kind of controller.
We'll set up our enrichment chamber and the osmium compressor probably somewhere like this. There are a couple more machines that we're going to want to add to the mix. There is the energized smelter from Mekanism, which just is basically a furnace that's powered by, well, power. But because we have access to the much better furnaces, like all the modium furnace and stuff, I don't tend to worry about crafting up the energized smelter in this pack.
Okay.
But in terms of getting it for the quest reward, I'm sure we can just craft it up really quick. So as you can see, keeping these filled with the enriched materials is kind of annoying.
Sure.
We're also going to be automating the production of the enriched stuff, and it'll auto supply these machines.
Good
we can
idea.
actually work on that. I brought refined storage here. So yeah, this is kind of the basic setup here. This is kind of what you're going to need to get started in Mekanism. A bunch of these infusers and just a bunch of material too. It really speeds up the early grind of Mekanism when you already have access to pretty much infinite materials of the stuff you need, like steel, osmium, all that. All right, so Grace is crafting up a couple more of these other resources and machines on the quest line here. So the Electrolytic Separator was crafted, and that's actually how we get some very important gases out of water, like hydrogen and oxygen, both of which are used quite a bit in the pack, and also the deuterium from heavy water. All right, so I'm going to start working on running a little bit of automation through here. I'm going to have to move a couple of machines probably like up a little bit just to make room for the automation. So if your machine placement gets like moved by 1 block up, Grace, don't completely freak out. So what we're going to do actually here is craft up a couple of things called interfaces from refined storage. And this is actually how we're going to send the finished resources back into the system. So I'm going to lay these out kind of side by side here. And these kind of act as almost like a two-way import/export. So you can actually pull items from refined storage out of here and also send them back in all in the same block, which is kind of cool. Next, we're going to place our metallurgic infusers back down just on top here. That's kind of what the layout is I'm thinking of for this. So the only thing we have to do now is we have to make sure that we're stocking these with all of the enriched materials from our enrichment chamber. So the same way that I upgraded or I moved all of these up by 1 block, I'm going to also have to move the enrichment chamber up by 1 block. Remember the whole concept of the processing patterns comes into play with like the smelters and stuff? It's going to be the exact same way with these. So we're going to be sending in 1 iron ingot, and there's going to be already redstone inside of them. So we're going to basically set a pattern that says 1 iron ingot is going to equal 1 alloy. That's what it's going to get back. So then the system's going to be happy. Once it sends in 1 iron, it'll get back 1 redstone alloy and everything will be happy. Apparently I don't have crafting tables on AutoCraft. So in this case, we want, when we have the items coming into the infuser, we want them coming in from the top, which will be where the crafter is.
Yep.
And once they finish, we want them to be output from the bottom. We're going to send enriched materials into the back. So this is kind of the exact setup that we're going to have all these infusers be. And the really nice thing is, instead of having to go through and manually set every single one, Mekanism also provides us with this thing called a configuration card. So if you have the infuser set exactly the way you want it with what each side is doing, you can just shift right click with a configuration card, this one right here, and then go and take that and right click on every single other infuser, and it'll basically just copy paste that configuration.
Okay,
So
cool.
now all of these have the exact configuration that we're going to need. And as you can see, it's actually already importing the infused alloy back into the system. We've taken care of that. And if we go ahead and craft up a couple of we'll just do some diamond crafters for now. That should be fast enough. Put them all down like this, but they're facing the wrong way. They have to be facing into the infusers. So I have to get out the wrench and flip them around. So we're going to have to run our cable, probably just on the back here. Run it up like so. Cool. So all those crafters are now online because they're all touching each other, and that is good. So the only thing left to do with this now is we have to first set every single recipe in the crafter, and they have to be put into their respective crafter depending on what resource we're going to be looking at to use. What we're going to want to do though is basically also set up the enrichment chamber to be auto crafting as well, because we want this to craft up all of the enriched versions of each material. All right, let's grab one more diamond crafter here just to get everything set up, put it on top and spin it around. We want to bring this over. There we go. So our crafter's hooked in, our interface is hooked in, which is fantastic. The enrichment chamber has to be configured the same way. So input on the top, output on the bottom, and that is very simple. Now, the enrichment chamber doesn't require any input from the back. All we have to do from the back here is actually give this a little bit of power. And we'll probably end up running cables along the back just like this to also power other machines. Okay, so coal, redstone, diamond, and enriched obsidian. So now this enrichment chamber knows how to make all of our enriched materials. So the problem here now that I'm seeing is we have a 1 block gap at the back here to do a couple of things with our infusers. One, we have to send in the enriched materials into the backs to basically fill these all up with their desired material, but we also have to find a way to get these some power. Now we could use something like modular routers to wirelessly power these, but I think there's going to be an even better way to do that, and I think we can do this by using laser IO, which we were actually using a little bit in the last episode with blood magic. Now there's obviously plenty of ways we can go about doing this, but I'm just going to go and do it the way that I like to do it. If you have a different way that you do it, you can do it exactly how you see fit. What we're going to want is essentially item cards in all of these, because these are all going to be inserting into the back, and they have to be all in the face pointing in to our infuser. So we're going to go ahead and just set all of those like that. That's not going to be enough as is though. We have to actually go ahead and add filters to these because we don't want everything being sent into the backs, only the desired material for that infuser. For example, we can put one item filter card in here, and this is going to be the enriched obsidian. So we type in enriched, we can grab this and filter it to basically, this should be a whitelist by default, I believe, and that's going to be on channel 0, which is totally fine. And we're going to do that for every single node here. These two here are going to be for enriched redstone, and the final one is the enriched carbon. Likewise, we also want these to be sending power into the machines. So we can put an energy card also facing into the exact same way. And these are not going to be to the insert mode, not extract. Now, the last step is we have to basically have a way to export all of our enriched materials to another node. And we're going to do that by using a drawer underground here. Very specifically, we have to have a 2x2 drawer because there are exactly 4 different enriched materials, which is actually perfect. And we're going to filter this to only accept 1 stack in here of each. So to do that, we're going to grab a downgrade upgrade for the drawer. This will just make it so that we only ever buffer a stack of each enriched material at a time, because if we don't set that in, it could end up crafting way too much, and we don't want to just overkill craft all of our resources up. So this is just going to be a nice way to regulate that. So if I put an exporter on the back like so, we can tell it to export all of the different enriched materials. Unfortunately, the system isn't quite smart enough to know that we need it to auto-craft those things without first telling it to do that. The way that we actually tell it that we need that to happen is something called the crafting upgrade. This is also something added by Refined Storage, and basically what happens is if we put a crafting upgrade inside of this exporter, it's going to tell the exporter, hey, anything that you have listed here to export, if it doesn't have it in stock, try and make it. So I put 1 crafting upgrade in there, and I think theoretically that should make it so that our enrichment chamber should be running, which it is. Yeah, so it's crafting up all of the different refined materials or the enriched materials that it doesn't have yet, or doesn't have enough of at least. All we have left to do is take one more node, just like this, and we have to get our wrench out of here. If I can do that with our laser wrench, just like so. And we're going to want to link this node here to all of these other ones as well. Okay, so now all we have to do is send in an item extract card into the bottom, which means we're going to extract all of these different materials in the drawer and try and send them to all of the machines. So we take an item card, bring it in here, set the extract, and we're going to probably want this to be a little bit faster than this current speed. So what we can go ahead and do is grab a couple of what's called overclocker cards, and I think this will take by default 4 of them. I think 2 might even be okay though. Let's just go ahead and try that. This will do 32 items every 10 ticks, so basically 64 items per second, which is, I think that's plenty fast. So now if we come back up here, we should theoretically see all of these being filled with their enriched materials. Now we also have to make sure we have some power for this. So using this exact same node down here, we're going to actually set a point on top here, just like this. And we're going to put an energy card here that is set to extract as well. And we're going to want to give this one also a couple of card overclockers to make this basically pull energy a little bit faster. 16,000 per tick is probably sufficient. Yep, they are all completely filled up on power. Overall, it's like very compact. It's only 2 wide, which is really nice. It can fit into a lot of spaces, and that just gives us a lot of flexibility for design in here still, because I'm not exactly sure what I want to do design-wise for this room of the castle, so giving myself lots of flexibility in terms of space is going to be a good thing. Okay, so now that we have our machines up and running here, and they are, I think these are all pretty much fully auto-craftable, so we have our enrichment chamber and osmium compressor, and then all of our infusers. The last thing that we can really do to make these even better is give them what's called these tier installers. Now, we have given these already maximum speed and energy upgrades, which is great. But if you take these, Grace, I'll give you these 2. Those are the tier installers that will upgrade our machines. So what you have to do is you shift right click with the basic one to start. And that upgraded it to, and now if you do click on it, it has 3 slots instead of just the 1.
Oh, wild.
So you can hit the auto sort button on the left there, which will basically split any incoming materials to work in parallel, which is really cool. And they can be upgraded 3 more times, all the way up to the purple tier, which is the ultimate tier. That one will get you the next tier of machine. But yeah, so that's going to be really fast now. So to actually do all the infusing is going to be lightning fast. So now that we have all of our kind of our auto craft set up here, we can actually go ahead and do a little bit more auto crafting to the point where we can set all of these installers to also be auto craftable. All right, well, let's head back up to the castle here. Let's get all of these machines upgraded to the highest tier because we have all the resources that we need for that. And that will make these be pretty much as fast as they're going to be able to be without further tick accelerating these. And the tier installers aren't too expensive. They just require basically some planks, osmium, and then just some of the infused materials. So if you have that on AutoCraft, these are also very straightforward. Okay, so our enrichment chamber is doing its thing. It's not running super fast, or in terms of actually knowing how much it requires to keep in stock here. So it actually is hopefully going to be fast enough. If not, we might have to set up multiple enrichment chambers to kind of share the load a little bit to keep up with this, but I don't think that's going to be a huge issue as of now. There's a couple more machines that we have to get to in Mekanism that kind of will round out the entirety of processing. The one that I'm looking at primarily is called the crusher. The crusher is what turns the ingots that we have, that'll turn it into the dusts. And some of the stuff requires the actual dust to craft. Some of the upgrades and stuff require the dusts, like with the speed upgrades. Let's at least follow the quest to get everything unlocked in line though. So the next step is the purification chamber. Now, this is what we're going to be using in the future, which is probably going to be in the next episode, to work on some extra ore processing. At this stage of ore processing in Mekanism, you can basically infuse the raw materials with oxygen to essentially double your ores for free. Now, after you double them, you have to kind of further process these down by crushing them and then also enriching them to the dust form. But that's going to be the first stage of ore processing, and we're going to want to get into the higher tiers of ore processing as well, but we're going to be worrying about that in a future episode. For now, I want to get the crusher up and running. All right, so the crusher, now that we have crafted up the purification chamber, is actually even easier. It just requires 2 buckets of lava and a steel casing, which we can auto craft everything up for. And let's grab this And we'll place this down maybe right in the middle here. The crusher is just going to require also a crafter on top of it like the other ones. This has power from the back, which is also all it really needs. And yeah, so all we have to do is fill this with recipes, and we have basically all of the dusts on autocraft. So let's go back and make a few of the important ones, mainly being to upgrade all of the stuff in Mekanism. In terms of speed and energy upgrades, we're going to take a look at these, and these require osmium dust. Also, the energy upgrades require a gold dust. And what else do we have here? The filter upgrades we're going to want in the future, so we might as well have that actually on autocraft as well. And finally, there's the gas upgrade. The muffling upgrade we're not going to worry about because we already have a muffler mod in the pack, but the gas upgrade we are going to need. So this is going to require the iron dust. So all I have to do now is request some of the upgrades, which should be pretty easy. Let's request 8 of the energies and also 8 of the speeds. And we're going to want to get some tier installers for this machine as well.
I like the animation of this. It's really fun.
So I would say this is pretty much the basic setup for all of the Mekanism processing that we're going to be doing going forward. Obviously, ore processing will be a completely separate system, but this is going to let us craft up all the Mekanism materials very easy. To end off this episode, I think what we're going to do is go on another adventure, and we're going to go and fight another Cataclysm boss, which is going to be required for the star, and that is going to be the Harbinger, which means that we have to go and find the ancient factory. Now, we are going to have to take him home to farm up, so what we're going to do actually is kind of the same thing as we did last time. We're going to give him a swab, though, and we're going to grab the first one with the quantum catcher, take him home, but to actually do the boss fight, what we're going to do is make a mob egg, and then we'll go ahead and fight it on camera right away. Oh, it's only 1,300 blocks away. That's pretty close. Let's go ahead and locate that ancient factory. I found the entrance.
Oh, you did? Oh,
yeah,
very cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
I found it.
Oh, there's a big bad guy over there. Oh, that's so sick looking. Wait, can you swab him?
Oh, the prowler is actually quite large. Get him. Nice. I think he drops redstone and iron. I gotta swab him first, and then we will give him the fight. Oh,
or I could put him in a cube.
To power up the Harbinger, you'll need a nether star.
Oh, he's actually kind of terrifying. Oh,
he's awake. Uh-oh.
He's very cool looking.
I love how he has little laser guns. Pew, 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 pew.
Oh, scary attack.
Almost dead.
Death laser. Oh.
I have a witherite block. Now, I can summon him back in with the spawn egg. Okay, well, he's in my cube. Well, that was fun. So he's not aggro. Well, that's actually good.
Well, the wither wasn't last time either. Get in there, buddy.
Looks like he is
Get it.
aggro. Oh, maybe he is aggro.
Look at him go. No, but he needs to have the ability to get in.
It worked.
The bees need to have an access point to get there.
Look at you. You fool.
Look at him.
Well, that is how we are going to farm more of our witherite blocks. All right, guys, do your thing. To get the fusion anvil, and 6 witherite ingots, which actually is enough. Honestly, I think that may have been all the witherite we actually needed.
Well,
yeah, that's all we needed. We don't actually need anything else.
Too bad. Consider it farmed.
But anyway, this fusion anvil is actually how we're going to make the void forge, which is going to be the thing that we need for the start, which is actually really cool. It has like a little animated cog on it. I wish it actually worked as a normal anvil as well, just for decoration. Yeah, so we can infuse these and basically for free create these void forges. And we need, I think, 18 of these for the 18 stars that we're going to need.
It's actually kind of cool floor, unironically.
It does have actually a pattern like Blaze Terracotta does.
It tiles.
Horribly ugly tiled. It's really hard on the eyes.
You're really hard on the eyes.
Uh-oh, he's angry. No!
Oh no.
He killed him.
Did he kill the bee?
I can maybe hold his aggro and
yeah, if you can hold his
there.
aggro, then this bee might be able to take him.
Come on, buddy, get him.
Come on, buddy, you can get him. Take care of him, please. I know you can do it. Oh, yeah?
Okay, I'm actually starting to take damage. Get him, bee. No, me. Not him.
Wait, no. Oh, he missed.
Not him. Me. Me.
Oh.
Look at me. I'm
trying.
a tasty treat. I'm a tasty treat. Come on. Oh, finally.
I was worried.
But I think that's where we're going to wrap it up for this episode. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. I really hope you did enjoy. If you did enjoy, feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel.
The button is down there. Go click it. Go do it. It doesn't cost you anything. Just go do it.
Also, if you haven't already, be sure to join the Discord. The link is in the description down below. But that's it from me, everybody. I hope you all have a good one, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Bye.